with our guest, Megan?
Well, so that's a two-part question, right?
That is a two-part question. Yes.
Yes. All right. So I'll start off by introducing our podcast, right? So our
Great
podcast
start.
is Rise and Elevate. So the mission of our podcast is to deliver a positive mindset and to help show lessons learned from failures and positive successes from our guest that we join in each week. So what I'm most excited about is about sharing a message of hope that we can all do better, that we can all learn, we can all grow if we choose to take something positive away from something that's happened to us. It doesn't necessarily have to be a failure. It can be a lesson.
Yes.
That's the first thing. In terms of what I want this to become is I want this to be a platform to share positive thoughts, to be able to share the people that we engage with in our lives that are important to us, that have a message to share, that help us to realize that everyone wears moccasins and everyone has to go through the same path. The way you interpret that path is what I think is most important. So I'm going to start with a statement, or actually a quote from Dr. Wayne Dyer, who is a psychologist, a positive mental performance force in this world. He does a lot of touring around the country. And one of the lines that I love that is so powerful is, when we change the way we look at things, the way we look at things change. So those things that are in front of us may have an impact, but we can choose to process it differently. So without further ado, Devon, I wanted to welcome you to podcast number 2. And I'd love for you to introduce our guest, who is a friend, a colleague, a mother, a daughter, a sister. She wears many hats. And if you would, Devon, introduce our new guest.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tom. So today we do have an absolutely fantastic guest, Megan, who in fact grew up in Lumberton, New Jersey, now lives with her husband and 3 beautiful children. And before diving into the world of real estate, Megan studied fine arts in college and actually started her career as a high school art teacher in Medford. Not to mention that passion still continues today, as Megan serves on the board of directors for the Perkins Center for Arts since 2021. And a cool fact for you guys is Megan and Tom actually met through a BNI group, where she has been able to expand her professional network, allowing her to serve her clients even better. Megan, welcome to the Rise and Elevate podcast.
Thank you. Thanks. I'm excited to be here, guys.
We're excited to have you.
Thank you for joining us today, Megan.
No problem. Anything for you, Tom.
Well, I appreciate that. So, Megan, we've shared quite a few moments. We share Wednesday mornings together with BNI, which is Business Networking International. We share a chapter where we meet in Moorestown, and we share networking, referrals, stories, education, and we help to promote each other grow. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of this. I think this is your first podcast ever, right?
It is. Yeah.
That's so exciting.
So you had shared with me you were a little nervous about it, but today we're only friends having a conversation and sharing stories. Yeah. So there's no pressure here, right?
I'm just pretending I'm on a Zoom screen, like regular stuff.
Yes, exactly. So Devon shared with us that you went through this transformation from an art teacher to real estate. Yeah. So I would love for you to share how that started to become a reality.
Well, I never really thought about getting into business or real estate at all. Like, I was an art kid in high school. I was art kid in college. Like, that was identity. That was my realm. And I was like, well, I need to get a job. And my mother was a teacher. So I was like, oh, well, I could be an art teacher and then I can have like my summers off too. And, it was like very straightforward thinking, right? And then I got into being a young adult and was like, oh, I want to buy a house and I want to have a car and I want to like be able to do things. And I'm like, oh, this teacher paycheck is like going here, and I can only do so much. So one summer I was actually got married in 2018 for the first time. And so from that wedding was the first time I'd ever have a break from working because teaching didn't make that much. So I always worked at summer camps. I waitressed, I did clubs, I did tutoring. Like I was always hustling. I've always had that work ethic. But that summer I was like, I'm not going to work and I'm going to go to real estate school because I thought if I could sell a house or two on nights and weekends while I teach, I could like pay some student loans down, maybe go on a vacation. Like I just had very low ambition, low expectation, getting a license. And after a couple months, I would go into like the cafeteria at school or the teacher's lounge, and they would be talking about, this and that and this and complain, anger, disappointment, frustration, all these things. And then you go into my real estate office, and I started at Century 21 in Cherry Hill. And there was agents there who were like, the top performers. And as a treat that year, they were getting treated to like a 3-night stay in Mexico. And like, I was like, wait, what? Like we got, a pack of Skittles. Like we really appreciate you. And they're getting tripped to Mexico. I was like,
a difference for
yeah.
sure.
So I was living in these like this dual space, and it was kind of opening my eyes into like what could be, because I really wasn't part of this space at all. And then I started getting really active in it and just really worked hard. I mean, from 7 to 5, I'd be at school, and then 5 to 9, I'd be working on the business, and then weekends, open houses and showing clients. So I got one paycheck, I think in February, that was 4 of my teacher paychecks in one.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Wild.
And that's when I was like, I can do this. So I like worked my butt off for that whole semester of school. And I saved up enough, like 3 months salary is what I banked on. I was like, I'm just gonna take a leap of faith. If I fall on my face, I have a couple months to, try and sort this out. If I really can't sell anything, I can always apply for another job. I can always go work again, right? I have a skill set, I have an education, I have a license to teach. I can figure it out, but I really want to try and see if I can make a go of this. And we're 5 years later, full time.
Megan, the story about the transformation is important, right? But the growth that you've gone through, the relationships that you've made, the challenges that you faced, and how you went through that, right? One of the things that we talk about here with our podcast is failures and successes. So being a teacher, you were helping other people find their journey, right? Mm-hmm. And what you did as a part of that is you now found your journey.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a part of the successes and failures. And I can share with you that I used to think that divorce was a failure, although certainly it's just another chapter along our journey. Right. You unfortunately went through that. But knowing you and knowing your story, I think that's really a success in closing one chapter, opening another. So one of the things that I think is awesome is when you went through this change of being a realtor and no longer being a teacher and going through divorce, is how you changed your housing status. What I'd love for you to tell everyone is about what your lifestyle was like after you sold your home, got divorced, and where you went next.
Yeah. So March 17th, March 20th, whatever, was when we separated of 2020. Okay. And then a week later, we got locked in. And I was like, you're joking. Like, this is when I need to be out with my girlfriends at the bar. I need to be like out of my house.
Dancing, karaoke.
Yes. So it was really horrible, crazy timing. And, I could have stayed in the house, but I was like, no, I want to sell it. And the irony, as Tom was pointing out, was when I was a teacher, I made so much less, but I was better qualified for a mortgage because I had that consistent paycheck.
Right.
Being a realtor, I needed to have the 2 years tax returns to show my income to be qualified for mortgage. So even though I had this much more in the bank compared to when I bought a home with this much, I'm gonna get a new mortgage. I was like, this is crazy. So I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I was like in this like realm, right? I'm like telling everyone, buy a home. And then here I am going to go back to renting. I was like, no, I can't go backwards. I'm going forward in life, And I feel like this is a message from God. I'm sitting at home like COVID, my red wine on my couch, and I'm watching like Tiny Home Nation. And the people on TV are like, I want to live in tiny, I don't want a mortgage. I want to live simply. I want to enjoy the good things in life. And I'm like, Me too. Me too. Like me too. Like everything that they were
Sign
saying.
me up.
Right. I was like, I'm hearing you, God. I'm hearing you. So I was like, I can do this. And I didn't have any children at the time. And I had my pets and my flexible career. So I went on Facebook and I looked at different RV campers and I bought a camper in cash from Maryland. And
Amazing.
it was the perfect layout for me. It was exactly what I wanted. It had like a private bedroom in the back room. It had an actual full bathroom, like shower tub. Like it was tricked out. It was nice. As I'm driving it up, it's literally falling apart on the highway. Like literally the panels
No.
the tire exploded. My mom's like crying in the car, like, what are we
What
doing?
did you do, Megan?
Yeah.
What did you
She's, like
do?
trying to support me as best she can. Yeah, so I actually lived in a camper for 9 months during COVID because I couldn't buy a home. I was very determined not to rent, and I was like super against it. And it was honestly one of the best things I could have done because I feel like it really gave me space to heal. And I called it my Zen den. And it, just being in nature, just
Right.
like I would walk my dog in like the woods every morning, and you're surrounded by like nomadic people, retirees, families, and when everyone's locked in, I'm outside, so I'm like, hi, how's it going? Like making friends. So it was a very alternative year for me, but it was good.
That's the mobile home journey, right? So, yeah. but it helps you to appreciate the simpler, smaller scale things in life so that you can appreciate other things a little differently, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wasn't stressed about money. I wasn't stressed about other things. I was focusing on me and my mental, emotional, physical health,
To add to that, Megan, can I ask what were some of your biggest challenges and rewards you experienced that time doing, the tiny home living trend?
Challenges was the heat. And that's when I decided it's time to rent. February.
That's hysterical.
I moved in like June or July of 2020. And then, the summer was gorgeous. Fall was amazing. Winter was like, okay, this is a little less fun. And like February, I woke up and my camper was like 50 degrees because my propane tank had run out. So I had to like literally like put my winter coat on and go to the actual like truck stop to get like the propane tank to like hook up emergency some extra heat until like the campground people showed up that day. But I was like, so that was a challenge because in the moment I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing
questioning it?
Myself? This is horrible. Yeah. But the flip side of the challenge is that you experience pride, and I'm proud of myself for being like a young independent woman and being like, I'll make my own damn heat.
We love it. That's right.
That's great. So Megan, one of the things that has helped connect you and I was really a attempt for you to buy a home on your own. And you had a crazy story about how we spoke, and I gave you some insight, and you're like, well, somebody else told me that I can still do this. And without saying names or who they were, or companies or anything like that, tell me a little bit about that transition that reinforced being able to tell somebody no when the time's not right, and helping them to find when it is right, or helping them to do things the right way.
Right. So I was desperate again in the camper. I was like, I'm ready to get out, I'm ready to get into spot. And I had, 1 year of tax returns on it, but 2020 was my first time because I went full time in 2019. So it was, February, March, and Tom was like, no, you need to have 2 years. And I said, okay, Tom, well, I'm not renting and I'm buying. Like, it's going to happen. So I got a pre-qualification from somebody else, and I negotiated myself into an adorable little condo that was super inexpensive. So I wouldn't be financially stressed out still, but I would have like, a lot of like, 1,000 square feet. And 300 square feet.
And heated.
And I was under contract. I had a home inspection done. I don't know if I'd paid for the appraisal at that point, but essentially I was time committed, financially committed. I already put my earnest money deposit in, all these things. And then that lender that pre-approved me said, after going through underwriting, Megan, you don't actually qualify right now. But we can save it and we can do an alternative loan doc and do this, whatever. But at the time in 2021, if anybody was in the market recalls, that's when the interest rates were like 3%. So she was like, it's going to actually be like 6 or 7% interest, which is where we are now. And it'd be like totally no brainer. But back then I was like, you're making me pay double interest because you didn't pre-qualify me correctly. And so I had to back out of the deal because I wasn't going to agree to that type of loan.
Mm-hmm.
In hindsight, I could have, but it just, God has plans. And I was like, nope, not doing that. So it was really frustrating being a successful realtor and I had to pull out of purchasing my own condo. Like that was horrible.
Right.
But the lesson from that, Megan, is finding the right partner, right? Being able to have somebody tell you no and understand why, right? That understanding is so important. So I feel really fortunate that we were able to then build from that and, grow together. And recently we had a referral that turned into a trifecta, right? Talk about how referrals and how what you do can become more than just a single opportunity.
Well, that's two different things, I feel like.
Yeah.
So our trifecta, Tom received, I guess, was it a phone call or online?
Yeah, it was a referral.
For referral, a family that wanted to purchase a house together, a mother and daughter, and create like an in-law suite so mother can live with the family.
Okay.
And they both had homes that they had to sell. And the home that they liked was already on market. So we already have competition, or other people are already looking at it. Mm-hmm. And it's a very unique home, a lot of space, but in the right location they wanted. So it was like, we have to move fast. Yeah. So we're looking at a young family with a 2-year-old child. We're looking at mother over here with her own house going on. And then we're trying to purchase this new family home. And so we have 3 different, we've got buyers, agents, we have me as listing agent, me as buyer agent, working with that listing agent, like trying to coordinate all these different things. And having Tom as a partner in that was massive because we're just texting like, how's this coming? How's this coming? How's this going? We have the title company also in our BNI group, Kristen Capitelli with Good to Be Home Title. It's fantastic. So I'm making sure like we have this lined up. And like the day of closing, Tom pulled out his like angel's wings and was like, I'm gonna save the deal, because we had issues with numbers last minute and he was involved and doing who Lord knows what behind the scenes and making sure we can literally had like a $75 difference from in the morning closing to the afternoon purchase.
Wow.
Like we were like inching into that.
Right.
So having referral partners that you can trust and rely on to serve your clients, because and in our industry, it isn't a one person business. It is very much a team sport. Like I can be the greatest realtor in the world, but if I don't have a lending partner, I can't have my client purchase a home that they just fell in love with, that I helped them find, that I helped them negotiate the best terms, but they can't actually buy it. Tom doesn't come with money, and I don't want my client to buy this home that Tom funded, but then if we don't have clear title and then suddenly they move in and now suddenly these liens are popping up and they're owing all this additional, it's so important to have all the parts covered in a transaction. And that's like one of the things I advise my clients on is like, I'm a head coach. I have all my players in play and we're going to get you to
that goal. I love that.
I'm a head coach. I'm leading the team here and I need all my people to be doing their role so that we can, hit the touchdown or score. I'm not an athlete.
That's part of education, right? We all learn, we all educate. We have to teach our clients the right way. We have to share with them the things that they should and should not do as they're going through this, right? And Devon is a teacher of sorts as well. Devon, I want you to talk just a moment about what you do and how you help with AnnieMac Works and how you're helping realtors like Megan learn and educate and go next level.
Absolutely. So, following to that point, you both educate buyers and sellers, right? And our team at AnnieMac Works helps educate real estate professionals on a daily basis. So we provide a real estate productivity platform, Megan, where we offer over 100 modules of education that are really there to share best practices and increase your production ultimately, right? That's always a nice end to it. But because Tom did share prior to this hopping on the podcast, I believe you went through broker training, correct?
Yes, I went to broker school in the fall, and then I had my baby January 6th.
Okay.
So, and then he was in NICU for a while. Well, that's a whole nother story.
That's a whole nother story.
That's tiny living times 2.
Yeah.
So I have a year this year. You have 1 year from the time the class ends to get your
Okay.
license. So I will be licensed at some point at the end of this year. It's just been getting myself situated.
That's amazing. And, Megan, at Annie Mac Works, the real estate productivity platform, we do offer a broker only coaching program, which
Mm,
really is there to, my mentors, as well as my bosses, Carrie and Russ Fitzpatrick, they've been in the real estate industry for over 35 years, and they've built this platform and put their love into it. And so they have been broker owners throughout their career. So they've built this coaching program to help people who are at the beginning stages and looking to that direction of becoming a broker. So definitely something that I love to send your way, and you can get a peek at some point.
yeah, I definitely love to check that out.
So, Megan, you touched on it briefly, right? But you were in tiny living in a camper,
Yeah.
right? Or an RV. And then you had a kind of forced tiny living set up as you were in your midterms of pregnancy. That
Yeah.
was a challenge. But tell us a little bit about, briefly that journey and how it helped you to become a mother.
So, my baby broke his water at 25 weeks on November 7th, election day. So I was literally in my office working because it was a Tuesday, and I had my broker school from like 9 to 2 every day. And then I was working on some things, and it was about 4 o'clock driving home, and I got out of the car and I was like, it feels weird, like so. And so we went to the hospital, and they were like, "Oh yeah, your water's broken." I was like, "What?" Like nothing happened. Like no pain, nothing crazy.
Right.
And they were like, "Well, you're only 25 weeks, and you can go." I wasn't in labor, but you could go into labor at any point in time. So you're gonna live here until January 6th. That's the goal. And I
Wow.
said, "I'm sorry. I have like so many holiday parties lined up. I have my shower. I have my birthday. We have Christmas. We have New Year's.
Right.
We have Thanksgiving. I have my Weichert has a fantastic giant holiday party and Thanksgiving feast." I was like, "This is the best time of year. What do you mean I'm held hostage?" Like, "No, I'm not ready for him." He was due February 17th.
Oh,
November 7th, they were like, "He might be coming." I was like, "What?"
wow.
So my second tiny home living was I lived in my little hospital room, but I really made the most of it, I feel like, because I had fantastic support and love from my family, my friends, past clients came to visit me. I
Oh,
received like beautiful care gifts, packages, and just had really, I almost feel like, again, something that starts off as like a horrible experience becomes this surprising blessing, because I felt more love and support and like awareness, I guess, of the community around me while I was in the hospital than like if you're just kind of going through the motion of like busy, active life.
right.
I would have just continued working a ton and would have continued just going here, going there, full schedule and all that. And almost God like
Full
plucked me
speed.
into my life and was like, "Time out. Let's like examine this. Like, let's regroup here."
Wow.
And so, fortunately, he did not come early, and he was just hanging out, baking along. And, they were like, "All right, eviction date, January 6th.
Time to get
All
out.
right, he's 34 weeks now, taking him out." So,
Megan, I love the way you tied that together with a spiritual journey as well, right?
yeah,
So it doesn't always have to be about religion. Sometimes it's just about mindset, right? About being positive with what you're going through, what you're facing today. And the beautiful part of that is we get to choose.
hmm
If something that we go through is negative, is disastrous, is going to hold us down, or we can decide to lay it down, rise above it, and process that as an opportunity to learn and grow, right? I learned another realtor partner shared with me one of the best questions you can ever ask someone, right? Or about something is, where is the opportunity? Right? So you had an opportunity to live a bit simpler life, right? For a extended period of time, right? And be present and nurture your baby Kai
yeah,
and be there with your new husband,
yeah,
right? So you've been through this journey that was really a roller coaster of emotions
Mhm.
over the past few years, right? But I feel like as knowing part of your journey, you've been able to take away from that the blessings of change.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So I really thank you for sharing those moments with us. And I'd like to take a moment to just kind of share one of the things that Annie Mack, as our lender partner, right, as who I work for and who's part of this, has continued to evolve with Cash to Keys. And our Cash to Keys message is not only for the cash offer and the buy now, sell later, but also those people that are downsizing or moving and relocating and don't need a mortgage. We've added the cash bridge. So that's
Exciting.
something that we can get into a little bit more. But Annie Mack helps realtors to create more listings, to close more deals, to save more loans, to get more customers, and invert the concept of when someone does the buying and selling, right? So that message is powerful, and we'll continue to share that. But I wanted to just thank you for stepping outside of your comfort zone a little bit, for doing this live podcast with us, for being such a great host and sharing some of your stories, right? Your stories of success and failure have continued to provide a smile. And that, I think, is admirable.
It's huge.
I'm proud of you, as knowing you as a friend, being a new mom and seeing Kai personally. That's brought you and Jeremy such success. And even though we're realtor and lender partners, you and I and Jeremy have also engaged into real estate speculation together, right? So we've bought dirt, as they talk about in the country song, right? So we bought land that we're going to subdivide and build new construction homes on. So this evolution and relationship building is something that I hope this podcast can continue to do moving forward, to rise and elevate, lift up, and create more opportunities for everybody that we come in contact with. I would like to share something that I read the other day that says you will never be criticized by someone that's doing more than you, only by those that are doing less, right? Those that are doing more may want to mentor or may want to give you feedback and help you grow. But those that are doing less look up and say, oh, she's doing this, or somebody gave her that, or whatever. But the thing that I think is a takeaway from the message that you've shared is that you've created and developed your best life. You continue to make it better by the choices that you make, right? The way that we look at things.
I'm actually writing a book right now, Tom.
Really?
Oh, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
Tell me
That's
about
my
the concept, because we're in our final moments here of this podcast. But just give me that, now that you did the mic drop, I'm writing a book because I too want to write a book. Tell me what the concept is based on.
The concept essentially is life is what you make it, and to be your most authentic self, you have to build it. I feel like my 20s were very much living by societal design, right? I went to college, I got my job, I was with a boyfriend, I guess we got married, we should buy a house next, and all the things, none of them were right for me because I wasn't listening to myself, I wasn't doing my intuition, I wasn't like second guessing. And now, the last 5 years since I've been doing that work, my life is bananas how wonderful it is. It's more than I would have ever dreamed. And so I feel like there's like a lot of wisdom that I've experienced that I would like to share with others. And I feel like I'm part of Go Abundance Women, which is a fantastic national organization too. And just being inspired by these powerhouse babes across America and like what they're doing. Half of them are authors and they're speakers and all that. And again, I just like when I was teaching and I got involved in real estate and I saw this, my eyes were open to what could be. That's how I feel like being part of this group is. And I'm saying, wait, she's doing that. I could do that. You could do you get paid for that. So just
thank you.
Level up.
Thank you for sharing that. Devon, I would love for you to kind of help us wrap things up here today.
Out.
Yes.
So I found a quote, which funnily enough is by Dolly Parton.
Okay.
Who don't we love? A power babe, right, Megan? So Dolly Parton, I don't know if it's in a song, but she says, we cannot direct the wind, but adjust the sails, which I think has so much relevance, not only to the
Yes.
podcast, but what
Mhm.
we've been talking about today with you, Megan. It's a powerful statement, right? That really reminds us, while we may not control the external forces at play, we really do have the ability to adapt and navigate through them. Through
Absolutely.
embracing flexibility and resilience, we can find that even in the face of uncertainty, there are always opportunities for growth and success.
Absolutely.
Wow.
That's a good answer.
Powerful. Dolly
Mic
Parton.
drop.
Yes, Dolly Parton is a wonderful musician. She's a powerful woman, and she certainly had a lot of lessons and trials and tribulations. So, with that, Megan, I want to thank you again for being a part of this. Devon, as always, wonderful to be a part of everything that we do together. I
Absolutely.
thank you for being part of the brainchild of this with me and for committing and agreeing to do this live. Because at first, Megan, I'll share with you, Devon was like, well, we can record it and then
Yeah.
edit it and put it out. I said, no.
So I
I
was like,
said, I
nope.
would like to do it live and just go with it.
Yeah.
So at first, she was perhaps a bit intimidated by that,
Absolutely.
right?
And like I was so out of my comfort zone, but I think with each episode and each time we push ourselves, again, opportunities for growth, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
I want to thank you both for joining us today. Tom Fox from Annie Mac, Devon Pinches from Annie Mac Works, Megan Balarezo from Weichert Premier. Thank you for your time today. Have a wonderful day. And we look forward to continue Rise and Elevate podcast. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Bye.